Hello, everybody. I'm Simply.
Oh no. Give me
What
one
happened?
second. See, I knew this was gonna happen. The
What
cams are messed
happened?
up, dude. We've reached dark times, man.
Oh no. Wait, is the stream live though?
Yeah.
Or I'm
Gotta.
Simply.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 13 of Two Dads Podcast. We are your hosts, Cheezo5 and
Simply
this Big Simple.
Big Simp Daddy
We are
Jones. You know
having
how it
some
goes.
cam issues right now, and I don't know why. It's the first time that the cameras have not adjusted. I'm trying
It's
to
all
get
good.
this settled. All right.
While you're getting that worked out, would you like to hear some news in the speedrunning world, Chizo 5?
Hit me with it, please.
Okay, everybody, get ready. Buckle down, because we're going for a ride. First of all, it finally happened. Our boy ZFG has done it. He got the world record with, I would presume, to be the new route, and this is only the beginning. I don't know what the record was before, but he got a 4:10:17 Ocarina of Time, 100% time. I know his sum of best just hit sub 4, so I'm sure we're going to be seeing a sub 4:10 here soon. Getting the ZFG mad coming in. God, that emote's beautiful. Majora's Mask, any percent world record by our boy Enop, 116.34. Chomping that on down, doing
Got
a
it.
great job.
All right, we're all
Our
set. Okay, continue.
sweet. Our boy Summoning Salt has dropped a hot new video. Choco Mountain, the history of Mario Kart 64's most infamous track. You guys might want to check that out. It sounds pretty juicy. Everybody's going wild for it. Interesting here. I haven't heard of Ian Miles before, but Ian Miles, 29, has taken the Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker HD any percent world record with a 102.18.
I haven't heard of him either. That's interesting, dude.
Yeah, here I want to take a look at the leaderboards really quick.
Sorry about the technical difficulties, everybody, but we are good. We are ready. Not sure what happened there.
It's okay, babe.
All right, what's
Yeah,
up, everybody?
Ian.
Subcode.
Wow, Ian's a bopper. He has 102.18. Linkus almost a minute behind. 102.57. Gymnast like a whole minute behind. Pretty solid competition going on there. Linkus did get that record 7 days ago, so we'll see what happens there. They're kind of pushing it down, making moves happen. And that's about that on that end. Let's flip it over to the Super Mario 64 side of things. I like to pull up the Discord. Paracusia, congratulations on a 49 flat and 70 star. Legendary God
Wait,
Gamer.
did he get that on a race or like in
He
the invitational race, or was it not?
he got a PB in the invitational race, but this is a new PB. He PB'd by like a second or two. Rock Chalk, a force to be reckoned with, got a 146.26. I've been hearing good things about him.
Yeah,
It seems like he's making.
I heard he was the one. Him, Liam, and also Zarflon. Zarflon as well got a PB, didn't he? Yeah, he got a 145 flat, I believe, a few days ago. He is also stepping up there. It's like a minute PB too.
Oh yeah, 144.59. Proto Man 145. We're getting a lot of 120 star people making waves. It's good to see.
Yeah, dude.
Hopefully pushes our boy Chizo 5 to get that hot 138 Craigasm.
Dude.
Kobe got a PB in the Big Simp Invitational. Shout outs to him. 50.18.
Dude, all those PBs in the invitational, man.
I know, dude.
I mean, that's awesome.
It's something about the Invitational. It's something about commentary that gets the people going. It's understandable. Speaking of the Invitational, we are finally moving into the money. Semifinals is last. We're top 4. We got Paracusia versus Custom on one side of the bracket, and we've got Benny versus Cobra Jur on the other side of the bracket. And that first match between Benny and Cobra will be tomorrow night. So if you guys are interested,
dude, I mentioned this.
that out.
I mentioned this last night, and the fact that I think most people who were talking about it before the invitational started, they're thinking, oh, it's gonna be Punk Cheese, Benny, all the top players basically in the top 4. But if you look at this top 4, I mean, yeah, Benny's in there, but players like Paracusia, Cobe, and Custom, they're the ones that they're like near to the top, but it's just the point is that I think these kind of tournaments could be a constant thing going on, because you never know who could win, really.
Yeah,
I just
Go
think
ahead.
it's because let's say Melee, for example, almost every single time they're the gods of the last like 4 players, the same players all the time. But
Right.
like, I think this could be a thing, dude. This should be a thing. They should always have tournaments going on, because you never know who would win.
Yeah, dude, speed gaming's been going off. Big Simp, there's been rumors about maybe a 16-star tournament, so we'll have to see what happens there. But
Ooh,
it's
by the Big
definitely
Simp again, or someone else?
perhaps.
Perhaps.
It's pretty crazy. The top 4 is like, I would have never expected it to be what it is, and it's sure
Exactly,
to be
yeah.
insanity, crazy stuff. But that's about all I've got for the news front. Cheezo5, what do you have for me today? Who are we talking to?
Well, I think he's a pretty beautiful man.
Okay.
He's a popular figure in the speedrunning community, and he's actually,
Yes.
I think he's, no, we had ZFG before. He's one of the oldest speedrun guys that we've had. He's been around since, actually, I don't even know when he's been around, but he's been a really long time.
We'll find out.
Yeah, and yeah, dude, he's a GoldenEye,
Wiz.
yeah, pretty much, and he has a huge YouTube channel. He's been making all these speed lore videos and also other types of videos, just talking about all sorts of stuff in the speedrunning community, all sorts of topics, and I think it's really good. You guys should check it out. But we'll get into all of that, of course. But without further ado, I would like to enter him into the podcast once and for all. RWhiteGoose, welcome to the chat, man. How are you doing?
My friends, hello and welcome to the Two Dads
Yep.
podcast. Great to be here, guys.
Hey, it's great to
How's it
have
doing,
you
man?
on.
You know what, this tournament, you guys, I haven't been following this SM64 tournament, but it sounds pretty insane. Like, what? Link me up with one of these brackets or whatever. It sounds like it's. You bring up a good point. Like, anyone can win. If you were to hold a tournament like this more often, anyone can win. Kind of sounds similar to in tennis. There's always tournaments. There's 4 majors. There's like 10 or 11 second-tier tournaments. The top players always go to all the tournaments, and so it's very exciting. You never know who's going to win. Even though there are favorites.
Right. Yeah, dude. I think it's just proof, man. Because a lot of people tend to bring it down in a way that no, they don't think that speedrunning tournaments could really be viable because of this and that. Of course, there are thousands of games, and that's what makes it. It's just different. But for certain games, I think it could be very viable. It could be a regular thing to mix it up, to make people more not just motivated to actually go for better times and world records, etc., but to be part of the whole competitive scene.
Well, exactly. I think that is always, how do you put it? It's one of those things, like, all the time now, my head's just kind of turning on ideas for potential videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And talking about whether or not speedrunning could be sort of like esports is always one of them. And I think the biggest thing preventing it, really, the biggest thing that used to be preventing it from happening was people were so anti-money, anti-competition in speedrunning. And this is only going back 5-6 years even. Like, I see this bracket, 5, that would have been like the most toxic, negative idea. Like you would have been shunned from the community and exiled this up 5 years ago. And now it's, nobody's kind of turning an eye towards it, right? So it's a huge step for sure. But the other thing that has to happen is that you have to pick a few games, very, very few. The fewer, the better. Right. That an audience can learn and pick up, and those have to be the games that you compete in. And you can't do it with thousands of games. It doesn't work.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I still think it's a really viable thing that we can do.
Well, I mean, you're doing it right now, and I think it's only going to pick up more. I mean, Super Mario 64 is obviously the #1 choice for it. It's the most. I mean, is it the most popular speed game? You can kind of get into some semantics, but I mean, it is. Let's be real. It's the most, and it just plays so nicely. It plays so smoothly. It's the best speed game. What can you say?
Right. But there's so many. Okay, like yeah, you're probably right in the sense that okay, Odyssey is probably the most famous speed game right now. But Odyssey might even be a better game for a tournament setting, and there's no RNG in that game apparently either. So even better still, it's all about the gameplay.
Yeah, but the RNG is how do you put it?
It makes it more exciting in a way.
Mario 64 has the right kind of RNG, right? So if you were, for example, doing an esport tournament for thousands of dollars and we're doing Ocarina of Time 100%, and you had two guys going down to Dampe, like it would just not be. It would just, like that's the wrong type of RNG.
What that's the same though. I don't think 100% would be a great because like a 4-hour speed run. I don't think that would be great at all for tournament. They would have to do like no, I am the wrong warp or something, which is actually a really good category, but.
Well, of course, but like I'm just thinking of the RNG example, and it's in sports, even right in sports, if you're playing tennis, right, the ball might land and have an awkward spin one time. That's sort of like RNG that kind of makes the better players kind of reveal themselves in that tournament if they can handle that ball that clipped the net and maybe barely went over, right? So these are the kind of luck-based things. Two golfers can hit the exact same shot in the hole, and one of them will get the right roll and get it close to the hole, and the other one will have it bounce off the green, right? So that's kind of just the nature of competition. I think Mario 64 has the absolute correct amount and type of RNG.
Yeah, you're right there for sure. Because, I mean, there is actually, I guess, strategy would say, but it also depends on how good you are, I guess, at the game. Where if you have like the same RNG situation, a worse player would not know what to do, freak out. Whereas someone more experienced, they'll be like, okay, I know what to do, I know the backup, and they'll be able to, I know what you're saying.
Well, that's exactly right. And the thing, like, I don't want to say lower level thinkers in speedrunning, people who are newer to speedrunning.
Yeah.
What they don't understand is that you're not going to like win a lottery and get a world record. It doesn't happen that way. But what RNG does is it rewards consistency, because it's the people who are the most consistent who can take advantage when they get the right. It's not like a very bad player can get the best RNG and get a world record, at least not in the games that I'm considering.
Right.
Definitely will be interesting to see where these things go, how speedrunning evolves, and that's something I want to talk with you more about. But right now, I want to know about your origins, Goose. How did you get into this whole thing? Where did it all start? Take us back.
All right, and it's not like a typical backstory, I would say. It goes, like, whenever I get asked this question, I always just say, like, to me, speedrunning is all there was. Like, I remember playing games when I was 6 years old, playing Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Sega Genesis was my first console. In that game, there is a timer in the top left corner. And that's just me. Like, there's a timer there, counting up to 10. I guess you die at 10 minutes or something. And it's like, so you're playing through the level, and you know that, like, you can improve your time. You can play the level faster, metric on how good you are at the game. And I remember being a kid, being 10, 11 years old. I remember us all getting Majora's Mask for Christmas in grade 6. And good you were against another person was how quickly you could progress through the game. And, like, that's speedrunning, right? So we would update each other. Oh, I got to the Snowhead Temple last night. Oh, I'm still in the swamp, right? Well, this one guy's better at the game. And I find to equate beating games quickly with being good at games, right? And in the early 2000s, I kind of like looked at some, I look at game FAQs, I look at game guides online. But I was 12, I didn't know how to like sign up and join forums and stuff. And so it wasn't until 2005 I picked up GoldenEye one summer, and I was like, you know what? I remember seeing a world ranking, seeing speedrunning. Let's go and join the site, join the rankings, and kind of make some of this grinding and playing games matter. And that's what I did, and the rest is history for sure.
Was it like the elites that you looked back at 2005, or were they not a thing yet?
Yeah, so the Elite was founded 2000, 2001, 99, anywhere in there. There was kind
Wow.
of a few variations of it early. And so when I was like 12 looking at stuff, I remember sometimes my dad would take me to work with him, right? Like take your kid to work.
Oh.
And so I'd have internet access all day and I'd be looking at Nintendo guides and whatnot. And even, how, as you grow older, you realize how parents are and sometimes he would just come back and print me off like maps of levels or guides and stuff because you don't want to work all day, you want to screw around.
Yeah.
So when I would get internet access, I would read about this stuff and look at these communities, these early communities and these early guides. And it was 2005, and I think it was like Canada Day, which is July 1st. It's like our Independence Day. I was hanging out in the afternoon, in between like the parade in the morning and kind of going out to the fair and whatnot at night. And we picked up GoldenEye like we did in our whole childhood. And that was the time when I was like, let's see if the Elite's still around. It was. I watched some videos, and that's when I really kind of was like, let's go.
And you just kept it going. Like, did you take breaks? Or was it just you were like, I'm in this, bitch?
Oh, I mean, that gets really deep and philosophical because at that point was the summer before grade 11. I played more or less solidly through high school, grade 11, grade 12. And then you get to university and you're kind of thinking like, should I still be playing video games? You're like, is this degenerate? What am I doing, right? And you kind of you start asking yourself these questions. You really do. And I would always play a little bit. I didn't, I haven't played every solid since 05, obviously. I actually took a huge break between mid 2010 and mid 2012. And I was, when I was kind of away, and it was actually the rise of Twitch and especially Siglemic's 120 star streams that kind of brought me back into it and was like, man, let's give this another go,
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, what was I gonna say? Shit. Dude, I had a question the whole time you were talking, and I lost the question.
2005, taking breaks, joining the site.
I can't remember, dude. It will come back to me. It'll come back to me.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And then you saw Siglemic and you're like, well, what were you always streaming on Twitch? Like since Twitch was a thing, or getting into streaming wise?
When I stopped playing GoldenEye in mid 2010, I really left online communities and gaming. But actually, I guess I left the gaming ones behind.
Yeah.
I still posted at that point. I was 2+2 poker forums, not because I played poker, but just because it's like a vended, young nerdy dudes hanging out and just shooting the shit about sports and betting, whatever. And so I would hang out there a lot and chat about sports, but I was not thinking about anything gaming related for like a year and a half, 2 years. Of course, that's when I found the most like social success in my life. So I got my first girlfriend, all this kind of stuff. So obviously, like you piece these things together, and when you think gaming's degenerate or speedrunning, that's certainly some evidence anecdotally to back it up. But I was away from gaming, and I didn't know about it until a year later, till mid 2012, and things kind of get kicked back into your old habits online. And that's when a lot of the elite guys were talking about Siglemic streams in particular, and that's what introduced me to Twitch. Yeah.
So you think like the whole Siglemic era in 2012 and stuff? Do you think that was like the reason why so many people in the speedrun community just got a lot of motivation, I guess, to push their own streams, push the entire communities, especially in the GoldenEye scene? Do you think?
Not in. I wouldn't necessarily say in the GoldenEye scene, but I think without Siglemic streams in 2012, there is no speedrunning in the state it is today.
Right.
I think it almost entirely bases its success on Siglemic and obviously Cosmo back then as well. Without those two, speedrunning is not the same, and HDQ is not the same at all.
Yeah, I agree.
The Elite had been around at that point for 13 years, maybe more. So I imagine the Elite always would have existed. It may have started to die out greatly. I mean, now we're getting more members than ever before, which might have to be due with my videos and Speed Lore series and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think without those streams in 2012, speedrunning is almost non-existent today.
No, I agree. I've had people have talked about that before a lot. I mean, I guess that's why almost everybody that I know in speedrunning said, come from or are there because of Siglemic and Cosmo and the streams that Siglemic used to have in 2012.
And if you weren't from those streams directly, odds are the streamer you started watching was from those streams,
right,
or some sort of chain reaction leading back to them.
Well, catch up to today. These days, you're not streaming very much, or at least I haven't caught many streams. You've been mostly on the YouTube game. What's going on with that? Was that like a conscious choice, or was it just kind of a gradual shift? What was the...
Well, the sort of trigger for it was the new Twitch terms of services, which
Really?
Which people were sort of saying that I was overblowing, overhyping. I'm not, as the months have gone by now, I'm not necessarily sure that's true. There have been some streamers who, for a while, sure, who have been banned for pretty questionable things, I would say. And it just becomes like a thing. It's like, do you want to be on a platform that you don't feel respects you? It's kind of weird. And so that was a big part of it, right? But on top of that, I also just kind of felt like these streams are pointless. Like, I just felt like you turn on your stream for 4 hours, you stream, you end the stream. Like, what came of it of any value whatsoever? And I know there are people out there who are like, oh, like, I love watching your stream, like, it gave me great company. And that's true. But I think we all know, we can all imagine streamers who they don't really have any sort of thing beyond their streams. If you miss their stream that one night, it just like piss it into a river. It just like a fart in the wind. It disappears the next day. And I was just like, I want my legacy, I guess. I want what I do to be more permanent and to last longer. And I think with YouTube videos, you can certainly do that. And that was a big part of it.
That is a very deep way to think about it. But the funny thing is, I thought about the same thing though. Like, I go through that thought process. I think about that. It's, is my streams worth it or whatever. But I guess because I base my streams off of the actual games and the motivation I have for the games that make me keep streaming or keep wanting to stream. I just think about the people that, and they literally tell me, we really miss watching you play. You're a great inspiration to us. And that, I guess, is what my base is. That's what I base off my streams, I guess.
No, and it is a very good point. And I was actually talking to my Discord last night about it. And basically, another part of it is that right now in GoldenEye, I'm ranked where I should be ranked. Like, I know for a fact there's 5 or 6 guys who are clearly better than me. And there's sort of this gap. I don't know if you guys know the Dunning-Kruger effect, but it basically, the worse you are at something, the more you overestimate your ability. The better and more experienced you are with something, the more able you are to accurately know your ability. And I know exactly I'm ranked where I should be ranked. I know there's 6 guys who are better than me no matter what. And so there's kind of, on the elite rankings in GoldenEye, there's this 7th to 12th place, a zone that's kind of, a lot of guys are clumped together. Right now I'm 9th. I'm in that zone. And that's where I should be. And I kind of like felt like I was just playing the game just for the sake of streaming. There was nowhere more for me to grow with it. Like I know I couldn't have made a run for a championship, right? Like, you still have goals left out there, right? Like, you eventually one day are going to go for 138 and it's going to be insane. but I don't have anything like left on the table like that. And so I just feel like I'm kind of done, at least for the time being.
Mm-hmm. Is it because you don't think you could push yourself to get up there to the top, or you're just happy with what you've done?
It's that I know guys are more inherently skilled at the game than me.
And you don't think you could like get up to their skill?
It's not a matter of practice or mentality or anything like that. Now, I could pass them or beat some of their records if the situation arose, such as them being inactive for a while and new strategies coming along. But I know on an even playing ground, spending the same amount of time on the game, I cannot beat them one-on-one on the overall rankings. I can beat hundreds of other guys. I can get to the top 10, but those guys I can't beat. And it just, like, you can't, like, talent, how do you put it? You know, people say, like, 99% of it is hard work, 1% is talent. Mm-hmm. Everyone in the GoldenEye top 10 is at that 99% hard work, and that 1% talent is what separates us. And in that 1%, I'm exactly where I should be.
Wow. Okay. So after saying that, I have a question for you. It's been kind of a controversy in my chat for a while. Do you believe then in natural video game talent? Like, to what extent do you believe in it?
Well, I believe it to exactly that extent, where 99% of it is hard work, but that last 1% is talent. I'm sure there are guys, Cheese, who have played as much Super Mario 64 as you have in the past 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. Who are lower ranked than you. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know, like, don't pick on anyone, but like, can you name some names of guys who have played a lot of SM64?
No, definitely. Like years? People like Benny is a good example.
Benny's a good example. No, yeah, exactly. But you know, Benny's the perfect example, especially because early on he was known for progressing slowly, or you know, Mr. Speedrun, of course. You know, he gets the butt of all the jokes now. But Benny was like that before, and so. Okay, maybe something is wrong with their mental approach to some extent, but a lot of it at that point is just simply talent. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you guys followed, or you know, I just put out a video a couple days ago about some recent news in GoldenEye. The champion Perfect Ace is I guess he's 22 or 23 now, but he joined when he was 10 years old. He's from Pakistan. He's unbelievable, and he hadn't played GoldenEye in a year. He comes back, and within 1 or 2 weeks, he gets an untied world record that other for 10 years. And like that's not hard work. That's like, he obviously has the skill over his career, right? But that's just pure talent, and that's that 1% being the difference, allowing him to cut that 1 second and get that untied world record.
Right. No, I agree with you, man. People also say though, like when you take breaks. A long break and you come back, it almost you become better in a way. I don't know how true it is, but
it can definitely help. Obviously, I took another pretty long break from about mid 2015 to the beginning of last year 2017, and I came back refreshed. I got some pretty cool. I cleaned up some records that I should have had. I got some more pretty interesting records. And yeah, you know, it certainly can help you get remotivated for sure. But it's not like a guarantee, you know. It just kind of restarts your.
Yeah, it's like a mental thing. What is your input on this, Simp? Like, what do you think about the whole talent issue?
I've always been a believer in. I mean, I think talent is a thing, but I don't think that it's like you're born with it. I think it stems from your environment. Like if you grew up playing games, then you're more equipped to be better at games than other people who didn't grow up playing games. But besides that, I don't know. I don't think that like talent could make you unstoppable. Like I think that no matter who you are, if you really want it, then you can surpass anybody.
Would you think that someone, let's hypothetically, they have less talent than someone else? I mean, they're gonna have to just put in a lot more time to be able to do so, to beat the other players that have more talent.
Yeah, a lot more time, a lot more practicing, a lot more like learning optimizations, studying the game more so than somebody who it just comes easier. They just get it.
Right.
I think you guys have way too much of like an egalitarian view on this. Like, oh, anyone can do anything, which just isn't true. Like, for example, you know,
It's getting hot in here, dude.
if you watch, well, if you watch the Olympics, right?
Mm.
You know, we all know Usain Bolt, legendary sprinter, right? World record 9.58, insane. It's who knows how long that's gonna be the record for. You look at the guy, and you can tell he has inherent talent that no matter how hard someone like you or I were to work in our childhood, we could have worked twice as hard as he did growing up to be a sprinter, and we would not be able to beat him at sprinting. He has that extra 1% talent that takes him over the edge no matter what. And like, you can work a million lifetimes, a guy like you or I, and we will never be able to get there. And we can, you know, Michael Phelps is a good example in swimming, right? It's like he obviously worked very hard. So did all of the other Olympians he beat to win 22 gold medals, okay? They all worked really hard. That's talent. And if we can see it in sports, and we know it to be true in sports, then it's obviously true in gaming as well. Like, I know definitely there are some, you know, fine movements on the controller, fine twitch muscles, overall stability of your body. Like, speedrunning is a lot more physical than people give it credit for. I'm not saying it's like, you know, going and playing a 6-hour tennis match, but there's a lot of physical elements and body conditioning that go a long way in speedrunning. One thing that always impressed me was Skater in Ocarina of Time had this ability to maintain ESS position on the GameCube controller, which has a small ESS zone.
On VC.
Yeah, and he could do it like my body cannot hold the stick that still without moving enough to get rid of the zone for that period of time. And he can do it. So his body is better wired to speedrun Ocarina of Time than mine is.
Right.
And that sort of is part of the natural talent that you can't replicate no matter how hard you work.
No, in terms of ESS and OT, that's kind of a touchy one because there are, I guess, strats, ways that you can place your finger that is actually a really relaxing position that you can hold the ESS. I don't know if he did that or not, but no, I know what you mean, and I would have to agree on Goose on this one. I'd agree with you for sure. I think that people are just, and it's funny you mentioned Usain Bolt because I bring up that all the time. I always bring up the Usain Bolt reference, I guess, that he is just somebody that I don't think anyone could beat, or not anyone, but most people, no matter how hard they work, they just can't beat him because of how he's built, how he is. And yeah, I totally agree.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, you might not know it, or it's not as obvious when looking at you compared to other speedrunners, but it could be that you're built and wired to be an amazing speedrunner and have that upper edge on people who work just as hard, have the same techniques, maybe they're even more disciplined than you, but you're still above them because of your talent.
You heard it here, man.
It's a fair argument. It's a fair argument.
Right.
I definitely in sports, I think that's yeah.
But
something to think
the thing
about.
is, if it's true in sports, and it's probably true, then you just go down the line and merge sports with games, right? And you start thinking about other sports that are kind of fringe, like bowling. It doesn't apply. Darts, you know, curling, shuffleboard, chess.
Shuffleboard. What even is that?
And if you can make the link all the way down, then of course it's true in speedrunning and competitive gaming. You know, there are so many people who have played Fortnite for 3, 5, 6 months. Why are the best streamers the best at the game? Like, they've all put in the same amount of time and work. It's talent.
Well, I for that specific example, I'd say like people who obviously have played shooting games, like Ninja had been playing shooting games for forever already. But I see what you're saying.
I agree with that too, though. I agree with what Simp has to say. Like, obviously, if somebody started playing games when they were 6 until now, as opposed to someone who just started when they were 15. I think they'll have a definite advantage because of just they grew up playing video games and they have that in their chip, in their brain.
No, it's absolutely true, and it's like, okay, obviously I was a little bit more predisposed in my situation from playing GoldenEye. I was able to get good at Splatoon really quickly and make S+ rank. That was a lot of fun when that one came out because it has, it's a shooter, it's very movement based, and those are techniques that I'm familiar with. But still, I wasn't the best Splatoon player. A guy like Samurai Man was like 10 times better than I could ever be. And I imagine that my gaming resume growing up may have been even more favorable to Splatoon than his was. Yet he was better, because of talent, I would say.
Yeah, dude.
That's interesting. It's an interesting take.
It's a hot topic.
It is. Well, we could keep going on this, but I feel like we're kind of at a impasse. So, moving forward, these days, Goose, what are you up to? Whole lot of YouTube?
Yeah, well, I mean, I made the drive up to the cottage here tonight. I mean, I always kind of got to explain it because I was just talking to Cheese before we got started, and cottages, cabins are such a universal part of culture here in Canada. Just kind of like a summer home, a little cabin in the woods, out in the woods or on the beach. And ours is not that far away from where I live, only a couple hours drive. But I came up here hoping to do another fireside video tonight, then go home, prepare for 2 nights for speed lore. I'm going to do control agent level. That's at the NASA marathon, which starts tomorrow. So a lot, and then I have some other videos planned. I got for June and July, so I'm pretty keen to work hard and get them all out there for you guys to enjoy for sure.
Awesome.
Hey, how far ahead are you planning stuff? Sounds like you've got quite the schedule already planned out. You're like, I want to do this video, and then I'll do this video after that.
It always gets insane, and you have to try not to plan too far ahead because oftentimes what will happen is you'll have a video idea and you'll start working on it, and it just goes crazy and takes you on unexpected places. For example, a video I'm working on right now, I was going to look into the legend of this old speedrunner named Steven Schwartes, and he is a very polarizing figure. He has some of the most insane, unproven record claims ever, but these go back 15 or 20 years. Now, the thing is, he actually went to fighting game tournaments. He went to Nintendo championships sanctioned by Nintendo in Europe, and he won these, and this is well documented. So he was a very skilled gamer. But he claims some speedrun records that just seemed out of place for when the time he claimed them. Anyways, so I wanted to do a video looking into that, but I realized it was such an insanely vast topic, it would take forever. I didn't want to get too caught up in it. Mind you, I've been caught up in it for 3 weeks. So I changed the video idea to talking about 5 speedrunners who claimed unproven records and the controversies behind them. But even that's now, the video already changed once, and even that's taking me on this wild journey. And eventually I'll have to go back to the Schwartes situation. What's been crazy is he actually, for the first time ever, went through his Mario Kart 64 cartridge and gave scrolling proof showing his records from years ago. And for whatever reason, he had never done this back in 2003, 2002, 2001. So for the first time, we saw the raw data on his cartridge with his saved best times, and they match up to his claims, which I was shocked by. And so the stories never end. And when you start working on something, you never know on what adventure you're going to go.
Are those records that are like, since they're not proven, they're not taken as like, they're not recorded, but would they beat the current day records, or are the current day records better than those now?
So his 2 most famous ones are the ones that I'm going to focus on in this video. I'm hoping to get it out within 2 weeks, I would say.
Okay.
One of them is on Luigi's Raceway, 3-lap non-shortcut, Mario Kart 64. the record he claimed in 2003 would be 5th place today. And that's the thing, right? A guy like you, a guy like us, anyone like us, we know how much of an anomaly that is for a record from 2003 to. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't happen.
That is
and especially
crazy.
if it's unproven, But the circumstantial evidence is kind of leading towards like maybe it actually happened. Maybe this guy was the most talented speedrunner ever, right? So that would have been 5th place today. Unbelievable. It was actually just back ruled earlier this year. One of the moderators, I think, watched one of my videos on YouTube about proof and videos and whatnot, and they kind of finally got fed up, and they said, okay, we're going to take it off. His other claim was on GoldenEye's Aztec level, and his claim was 131 agent. Now, the record today is 124. 131 is about 30th place. The thing is, when he claimed it, it would have been second, which is insane. And it used a strategy he claimed that had not been invented yet and wouldn't be invented for another 6 months. So, like, did he know about that strategy? Did he keep it to himself? Like, what exactly was going on? And it's just an unbelievable journey looking into this legend of Stephen Jwartes.
That is actually insane. A question though, how do you find all this information? Where do you dig to get all of this stuff?
So I'm lucky in that the communities that I spent my time with, mostly the elite, and also I did post a lot on the Mario Kart 64 forums, anywhere from 08 to onwards. These communities were always very tightly connected, and these communities also have a very good keeping of history, right? They track things well. They have a good record progression laid out, and there are enough people who were around. And so if you just start kind of digging and asking, it's really like an archaeological dig,
Sounds pretty fun.
It's just like and that kind of goes back to like the whole why I stopped streaming thing. It's like, to me, spending a night looking into an old story like this just feels so much more rewarding than 4 hours of playing a game, right?
I can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would think like, oh, who do you like go to for the advice? Where's the book to do the research? You kind of just have to start saying, I'm going to look into this, and people kind of pop up to the surface to talk to you about it. It's really quite something to see. Like, a lot of people, especially on this Stephen Jwartes case, a lot of people really defend the guy and say he probably got these claims from years ago. And so when I started kind of digging and saying, I don't know if he's legit, kind of comparing him to Todd Rogers in some ways, which, may or may not be accurate. We'll see when it all gets out there. A lot of people popped up to defend him, and I was able to get a lot of information that way.
So how about this? How about streaming the research?
I have thought about that. I really have thought about that, and it would get people to kind of pop up. I have streamed editing before, and it was fun, but it kind of ruins the surprise of the video.
Right.
Yeah.
That being said, the research portion might be a good. I've considered it for sure, because then you have a lot of people around who can help you. It's kind of fun to dig up old threads and whatnot. So I may do it in the future.
Well, that'll be cool. I guess we got to stay tuned to hear about that story. I hope you can come to a conclusion. Are you able to contact the guy? Have you tried reaching out to him? Is he around these days?
So I haven't reached him directly yet, and it's one of those things where it's like it's a never-ending hole, right? It's like if I start talking to him, there's so many people I have to talk to. There are people who other people say he sent proof tapes to back in like 1998. One of them, we've seen one of them surface online, but it's like 2 hours of Star Fox footage and like 4 GoldenEye runs. But there's so many people, like it's like a full documentary investigation. There is a guy who's kind of a middleman, another Dutch fellow who's kind of passing along some email exchanges with him. So that's where we're at in that case right now.
Okay.
All right. Um, about the speed lore, where did the idea of the speed lore come about? Why did you wanna start doing that exactly?
All right, so I would say a lot of it came from Lockwood's Streets 112, which I'm sure everyone's seen. If you haven't, like,
Everybody,
okay,
impossible.
exactly right. And so obviously the reaction to that run spoke for itself. People got excited, but I thought it was important to paint a picture at just how unlikely this run was.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 2014, I kind of impromptu did like a 20-minute recap of what led up to all the discoveries that made the 112 happen and why it was so absurd. And I just made it at the time. I wasn't trying to build a YouTube channel, which was kind of foolish because that was a much better time to do it in 2014. But we didn't know that people on YouTube had the appetite for speedrunning content. Right. And so I just had that as a Twitch highlight. People really enjoy that 20-minute recap. And then when I came back to streaming this year, if you guys or anyone here has seen my Silo Speedlore episode, a lot happened in those 2.5 years. I went back to school. I had family, health going on, and a lot happened, right? So when I came back in 2017, I was like, I want to do some things that are going to have like a lasting effect, and at least like try to do something really cool, like you guys are trying to do with this Two Dads podcast. And I'm like, people love the speed lore. Let's do it properly on other levels and see how it goes. And the reception's really been unbelievable. And I think a lot of people had similar ideas. I know like Summoning Salt obviously was working on the world record progression videos around the same time. So there were a lot of people who at that point just realized like, hey, there is a lot here that we could share and organize in a nice manner and tell these stories for future generations who are interested in these speedruns.
I think it's probably the best thing that could have happened, honestly. The whole YouTube side of speedrunning, and all these people are coming. Yeah, dude. And it just so happens that people like you, Summoning Salt, and all these guys are making videos on speedrunning, but they're not the same type of videos. They're different styles. They're different. The way the videos are, they're all different. So there's all sorts of different types of speedrunning videos, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, everyone has their own kind of style, and I was watching Summoning Salt's Choco Mountain video last night, and I saw it come out, and I was kind of like, oh my god, like Choco Mountain, there is a story on Choco Mountain specifically that I really wanted to tell in a video, hopefully a fireside later this summer. And I was kind of worried that maybe he told it and spoiled it. But the thing is, he focused on the evolution of the shortcut track, and this story kind of centers around the non-shortcut. And so he didn't mention it at all. And now it kind of opens the door for me to be able to tell that story later on. And what you'll get is people who dig into it and like the speedrun history. Those two videos will kind of be able to complement each other and tell the whole story and tell these other things. So that's really the great part of it.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like Summoning Salt, he has the more speedrun history where he puts out the facts and all this kind of stuff, and then you have the more storytelling kind of vibe, where it's the more relaxing, extra stuff that people could combine those two things together. It's really good, dude. Good combination.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. Like for me, I've been there through so much of it, so that's why I know these stories so well. Like it's just me telling what's happened, and when you're toiling around at 3 a.m. back in 2008, thinking your whole life is a degenerate waste, and it's like, why am I up following this insane drama in this video game? Well, now I realize, let's put it to use, and it is insane how many people enjoy hearing those stories that played out so many years ago.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see the success. I assume it's been. I guess I'm currently trying to get my YouTube channel going a little bit. Did you already have a decent fan base, or were you basically starting from nothing on YouTube?
So I was lucky on YouTube and in the same way on Twitch, right? Because I've been around for so long, I've always had kind of an established community who would be there and take a look. So when I first started streaming, I never had those 0 viewer months. I immediately had 15, 30 viewers right off the bat because I had a small community that I could help grow from there. And similarly on YouTube, I had uploaded a few of my highlights before, just raw gameplay. So I had like a 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers as a base, which is a lot more than a lot of people have, right? So that helped get videos exposure, get them the early views so they could be seen by more people.
And then did it just go up? Was it like, did it take a while and then you kind of blew? Or was it just, has it been like a linear?
I'm still kind of in that linear, kind of climb. I know for me specifically is that because so much of my content is GoldenEye focused, obviously I love doing it, but it doesn't have the same broad appeal as all sorts of these other games, right? So that's why I've been trying to do a few videos on other games, and I'm going to start on some, Twitch stories, Twitch culture stuff as well. And yeah, I'm waiting. The term in the crypto is to go for the moon, shoot the moon, or go parabolic. So I'm still looking to hit that parabola with my YouTube channel here, and hopefully this summer will happen coming up.
Awesome. Yeah, that'll be sick.
So early on you mentioned a little bit about you looking at games and speedrunning in general in a kind of degenerate way a few years ago. And I know there's this one video that I think is so hilarious. I've seen it so many times. Where it's a video of you on YouTube pretty much ranting off for like quite a while playing GoldenEye, talking about how degenerate the things we do, it doesn't make any sense or whatever. I don't know. I just want to know if you want to elaborate a little bit more about that. What do you think about, or this whole degeneracy kind of idea?
Well, exactly. And I have been thinking of making a follow-up to that video. Basically, asking the question, is it really the most degenerate act man has ever come up with? Now, at the time, I mean, and again, if you watch the Silo Speedlore episode, especially the second half, you'll know what I was going through at that time, which led me to kind of have that break like that. And I don't regret it at all because it's a raw human emotion, right? It's like, that's as raw as it gets. That's why it resonates with so many people. I'm glad it's out there. But obviously, I was thinking from like, no one is inherently a hero or a villain or all good or all bad, right? There's a bit of all of it in both of us.
Right.
And I was clearly thinking with like the dark energy at the time, right? And that's what you're seeing there. There also is the positive side to speedrunning. I can say definitely speedrunning has taught me better than anything how to learn to improve at a very specific task, how valuable practice and repetition is. And I mean, I played piano growing up. I was pretty decent, but speedrunning taught me even better how to improve at piano, for example. Just you play the same 2 bars over and over, and it's not annoying. It's annoying to do. It's not fun. But that's how you improve. And speedrunning really drives that home of just how to get better at simple, small things. So there are a lot, and of course, the community benefits and all this kind of stuff. So there is a lot of positives in speedrunning, to be sure. And at the time, I was only looking at the negatives.
No, I think I agree. Actually, a few days ago, I was watching, I can't remember what show it was. I think it was Rick and Morty. I'm not 100% sure. That they talked about that concept about there's a little bit of good and evil in everything, everyone. And yeah, I have those moments too where I some days all I want to think about is the negatives, the dark side, the bullshit side, if you will, of what I do. And then other days I'm like, it's so motivational. Everything is like, wow, this is awesome what I'm doing, But
yeah, exactly. And well, I mean, coming from Rick and Morty, I've never watched the show, but maybe if it has the kind of lesson in it, it is a very high IQ show, like it purports to be.
Right.
If you have seen my video a few months ago about the Mr. Hyrule Gamer situation, I don't know, have you seen it, Cheese? Because I feature you a little bit in it, eh?
Yeah, I have. I've seen that. Yeah, that was a while ago.
about 3 months ago.
Right.
So that video is sort of me on the with the light side, the positive side, showing how speedrunning, the good things it can do, right? And yeah, there is obviously a little bit of both, and it just depends on what is going on in your mind at the time, which one you want to reflect to the world.
Right.
But certainly this year it's been more of the bright stuff, and a lot of people are enjoying it. You know, there's a funny story from about a month or two ago where a guy from Huffington Post showed up on our speedrun.
Oh.
And he posted, "Hey, I'm looking to talk to a speedrunner. I'm doing an article on why people are leaving like the workforce, right? Are they speedrunning instead?" Right? This guy was completely clueless, right? But and that's fine. Like, what can you do? Of course, since it's Reddit, everyone was shilling me to speak with him. And everyone's like, "Oh, talk to our speed president, Mr. Goose." And so I spoke with him on the phone for about 10 minutes. And I guess he did some quick back search. He saw the degenerate thing. And we talked a little bit about it. And he's like, honestly, sometimes, you know, we go into the office as journalists and we ask the same things. Like, is what we're doing, does what we do matter? And I think especially nowadays, a lot of journalists in particular are questioning this because so much of journalism is just regurgitating garbage, no independent research. They're having a huge issue in journalism, and he realizes this too. And the way I kind of looked at it is like, I've always had this view that there are very few jobs out there that actually matter. Stuff like, obviously, doctors, medicine, farming, builders. Aside from that, it mostly doesn't matter, right? It's like, what are you doing? But the thing is, like, seriously, we could say, like, so many people go to jobs downtown in big, tall towers in some financial company or whatever, and they do nothing. You know, my dad has a term for it, paper pusher. They just move papers around back and forth from desks. That's all they're doing, writing some numbers down. It's like not actually having any positive impact on the world or anything like that. I'm not judging, of course, because, you know, look at what we do. But the point is, you can make something that doesn't matter based on how you convey it to the world around you. And I think that's what guys like you and I attempt to do in speedrunning.
Yeah, of course. No, I think about the same thing, dude. It's all about what you make it. Success is what you make it, I guess. That's what they always say. So I just think about my own, like, I don't think about anything outside usually. I think about what I want to do and why. And so in that way, to me, it's worth what I do.
Exactly. And it's like, especially for me right now, it's like, I don't know, I just feel so much better about focusing on making videos instead of streaming. That's what I want to do. And it's just such a overall more positive way of life right now. It's like, it's a good thing. And it's just, you got to feel it, you know, if you feel what you're doing positively, other people will feel it too. And if you can make your little corner of the world a better place, if everyone did that, the world would be a better place, right? So we're doing the right thing.
Right.
Got me mad inspired over here. God damn, I gotta go change the world with my speedrunning.
Well, so that's the thing, right? It's like, you don't get it twisted, because it's not go change the world. It's change your little corner of the world. I mean, look, we're all guys online. We've all probably watched a lot of Jordan Peterson lectures. The way he phrases it is like clean your room, right? You can't change the world if you can't even get your room in order. So get your little corner of the world in order, make positive changes there, and then you can reach beyond. And if everyone does that, the world will be better for it.
Are you a big fan of Jordan Peterson?
Absolutely. I was intrigued by him from the moment he made national headlines about 2 years ago now. And I've been a follower of his, I guess you could say, ever since. He's a very inspirational guy. And no, it's like, how do you put it? Being a guy who's sort of grown up online, right? I see a lot of people with a lot of problems, right? Most people don't come and sit around and, you know, be a degenerate online unless they have something else going on.
Okay. We've got some problems on the
Got some
internet.
technical
Some
difficulties here. What's
service.
going on?
Please excuse us 1 second. We're figuring it out. We've got the best analysts.
I'm just gonna play some ads.
The mechanics in the back room are having a problem.
And so I see a lot of young men.
Okay.
Guys,
Hello?
Okay, back
hear
that
me or
up.
no?
No, back that up. Back it up.
I hear you fully.
Back it up. We didn't hear anything. Your mic totally cut off for like a good 20 seconds.
It stopped when you were saying we got problems. Tell us about the problems.
All right. No, so a lot of people turn to online communities when they have other things in life going on that are problems, right? I think we've all seen this. Maybe that's been some of us. And so you see a lot of lost men, similar to the guys who are sort of the typical Jordan Peterson viewer online. I've seen a lot of them. And a lot of what these guys are missing in their life that's caused them to get in the situation they are in is just a lack of a father figure. And I've been lucky to have a amazing father. My dad, Big Ray, he's the best guy, right? I'm very lucky to have such a good father. But I've heard directly from a lot of people that they didn't really have that growing up. And so guys like Peterson and a lot of other guys online are kind of that father figure for them, teaching them kind of how to be a man and find their place in modern society.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I've been for about half a year now, I guess. I've been a big fan of Jordan Peterson as well. I just watch basically I look up on YouTube all of his motivational kind of speeches, and I just watch those, and I've learned a lot. Pretty much what you've said is the exact same thing I kind of get out of him.
Exactly. It's like if you clean up your corner, it's going to motivate and inspire other people to do the same.
Right.
I remember, and this is actually kind of funny, is one of my first big videos was ironically the top 5 most stunning instances of degeneracy in elite history. And in that video, I feature Mark Rutsu's unwashed dishes that are a month old. I've had numerous comments on that video from people saying, man, this hit me hard. Like, I'm here watching this video, watching YouTube videos all night long. I look behind me, there's a pile of dishes even older than that, and you've inspired me to clean those dishes.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous.
There's half a dozen comments like that.
I can't even think of that.
If something that simple can have that much of an impact, these people are probably maybe massively depressed. And I'm not saying the video is going to fix that, but it is a step in the right to start thinking like, I can't leave these dishes for 2 months out, learning from Mark Rutsu's mistakes in this case. And that's the kind of positive impact you can have on people.
How is that even a thing for a month that you haven't watched? Jesus.
Dude, it's like the Zaya.
Yeah, the Zaya thing. Yeah, Zaya's a good example too about that. Zaya posted, did he post a picture on Twitter or something? Of his room.
What that picture was.
There was a picture of his room on Twitter, and basically it's the entire room was covered in trash except for his TV and controller on the floor. And it was
I gotta see it. I gotta see that. I can imagine it, but exactly. But it's like if Zaya hangs out online with enough positive people, he will eventually start making a change,
Probably.
And if everyone else is pessimistic online and we're all degenerates, we're all losers, that won't happen.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty I don't know what the word is, but it feels good to see where the speedrun community is going. It seems like it's only going for the better. Right. People are doing a lot more, going a lot more in depth, dedicating a lot more time to not just the grinding aspect, but like the events, this podcast, tournaments, your videos, something. So
I'm not gonna lie, I've been pretty out of the speedrunning community for this year, most of this year so far. Haven't been watching videos, haven't been watching streams, but the last 2, or pretty much every single episode that we have in the Two Dads podcast, every time we have an episode, it always gives me that little umph of motivation again to do something, to just keep going, I guess. But I wanted to know, like, have you ever got to that situation, both of you, where you just think that you don't care anymore, you kind of want to just step away from the community, I guess.
Definitely.
A number of times, and that's completely normal and completely fine, right? And I think something is like it's fine to just, if you have to step away and like do nothing for a month or two, that's fine. Like reset and figure out where you want to be headed. You know, I think it's much worse to jump onto another track that you don't necessarily want to be on than it is just sit and wait and and recharge before taking a more directional focused aim. And sometimes you just got to step away. Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Here's the picture.
This is here's. I wish I could put it on a stream somehow. I mean, I probably can.
That's, you know what? I may have to do a top 5 most stunning instances of degeneracy in Mario 64.
Yeah, dude. It's insanity.
That's pretty bad. That's even worse. There's a pretty well-known Twitch streamer, Asmongold, plays World of Warcraft. He is known for having a lot of fast food trash on his desk beside him. But this Zaya's is worse. It's a few levels worse.
I think that's only part of it. I thought I remember seeing like a whole bunch of dishes. I don't even remember this picture, but I mean, from seeing that, you could definitely assume that it can't be the only part that's dirty.
No, it's not healthy, and he could clean that up with sacrificing one night of grinding Mario 64, right?
Right.
But it's not that simple when you're in that state of mind. So I just hope he figures it out eventually. I think he will.
Astral asked what brought me to that as well. Like, kind of the same thing. I don't know. For me, I had moments where it's just you hit a plateau, you aren't making progress, it loses its fun. Because like, what keeps you going is you have fun, you see the progress, but you hit a moment where nothing's happening, can't get that PB that you so desperately want. It's like, this is so pointless. Like, it becomes so much more obvious that it's pointless when you're not even having fun. Like, if you're sitting there having fun and you're like making your own thing, but when you're not even having fun, it's like, I gotta just stop, take a step back, take a break, and it usually helps out, come back fresh.
I think those moments are good though too, because it kind of tests you. It tests you on your whole, like if you're actually passionate on speedrunning, on what you're doing. Because if that kind of thing happens and then you kind of quit and be like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore, then at the end of the day, you weren't really passionate about it. It was just kind of a thing that you put a lot of time in, but you didn't really care about too much. So then when you reach like that little plateau and you freak out, you don't know what to do, and then you just kind of stop. So in a way, it tests you. And if you're able to overcome it, then, well, that's a good sign.
For a long time, especially, like I say, I really got involved with the communities when I was 16 years old. And I often questioned, like, how long would I do this? Like, what? I never, when I was 16, I imagined when I was 28, I'd be up in one of those offices pushing paper like I described,
right.
Married, having kids. But as time goes on, it's like you just come to realize, like, this, especially us three, like, we're into this so far. This is what we do, and it would take a lot to change that and put you on a different path. And so eventually I just learned, like, this is what I do. I got to embrace it. Mm-hmm. I got to make a path for myself in it. And I've tried to do that ever since.
Well said.
Yeah, dude.
Well, before the podcast, changing gears here, you mentioned the NASA Marathon. Do you want to tell us what's popping?
To be honest, I don't know what's popping at it. I just know that I'm doing my thing on June the 7th at 9:30 p.m. scheduled. I drove out, I think, last year, just saw the boys. I mean, I'm going to be honest, and it's nothing against the NASA guys. They're actually really good guys. But generally speaking, I don't enjoy spending a week inside a hotel being a degenerate and just gaming all week long. And like, there's, especially in like 2014, 2015, I went to a few like gaming events in the area, and I realized, like, why am I wasting my whole day inside in this event? Like, there's a great world out there. Like, what am I doing just toiling away for a weekend in some convention center? And anyways, point is, I don't really enjoy going and hanging out at these things all that much. I'll go for the day. I'll see the boys, hang out, get something to eat, do my Speedlore episode, and carry on. And I wish everyone who is there for the week the best. It starts tomorrow, so check them out. Twitch.tnasa_marathon. It'll be a good time. But yeah, I just have other things to do, I would say.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Look at it.
Now, that being said, I am playing 2019. It's in January, so you're not missing. In Canada, you're not missing much if you just stay inside for a week in January. I will go there and fully enjoy degenning for a week with the boys, and that'll be a good time.
Where is it you're going? You might kind of cut out when you were talking about it.
To AGDQ 2019 is the plan. We're gonna have almost everyone from the elite community, maybe even Mark Rutsu himself.
Awesome.
And it's gonna be insane.
Baby.
That kind of sucks for. I won't be going to AGDQ 2019.
No.
Oh, come on! You got to get Beast Coast's got to get you on that, man.
I mean, if I get everything paid for, sure. But I don't know. It's been a lot, dude. GDQs. It's just really hard coming from Europe, man. It's a whole different ball game than when you already live in the country.
100%. I understand. I mean, if I had to travel to Europe, it would be a different story too. Mm-hmm. Someone in chat just asked if I'm going to have any plans for a room tour at this GDQ, and I've already been thinking about it. I had kind of a thinking of how to amp it up a notch and make the room tour even that much more insane. So if you have any ideas, throw them out there. Things to feature, things we should have in our pimped out elite room at GDQ.
Nice. Well, I mean, I'll try. I'll probably submit a run. If it doesn't get accepted, I definitely won't go. But if it does, then Beast Coast might be like, yo, you got to run in, so it's kind of important. We'll help you out. We'll see.
Beast Coast.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I submitted Speedlore to SGDQ. I didn't think it would get in. It would obviously be a risk for GDQ, a big move. If it did, I would have considered going, obviously, right? It didn't, so I'm not going to be at SGDQ. Hang out at NASA for a day instead is a good enough time for sure.
Nice.
When did you say that was, that you're doing the live one? June 7th?
June 7, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, I actually had it be on the Saturday night, which is like prime time. They hooked me up. I'm going to be back up here with the family for the weekend. There is a butter tart festival nearby in town. So we're going to go hang out there for the day. I had the boys bump me up to June 7, which I forgot at the time is the day of the provincial election here in Ontario, which is obviously something I follow very closely, and about the future of our province. Some might not know Ontario, a province is like a state for anyone who doesn't know. Ontario has the most debt of any government that is not an independent country. So Ontario is in really tough times, and I really want to see the results of this election. I'll be delivering my Speedlore and kind of checking the results on the side as they pour in that night.
So I'm assuming you already have it all planned, what level, what you're going to talk about?
So I'm going to do Control Agent. Control is the longest level in the game. And so there's 2.5 minutes in the middle, which is basically nothing. And it's the perfect level for an event because, whether there's donations or subscribers or whatever, people to talk with or about, that kind of dead time will be easier to fill live at an event in those circumstances. So I'm really excited to see how it'll play out.
Awesome.
Cool.
So you said you submitted Speedlore for SGDQ?
That's correct, and I mean, it got rejected on the first cut. I'm not surprised.
But how?
You got it.
But how are you gonna go about that? Really, what were your plans on that?
And so I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna go about it at NASA. But basically, all I need is this: a computer with a screen with 35 tabs that I've pre-opened and a few notes. So I can just glance through and see when all these records happened. And that's all I have when I deliver these Speedlore episodes. and I certainly could do one live at GDQ or any other event. It doesn't require too much. Just, you have to get all the YouTube videos in the correct position on screen, really.
All right. That'd be interesting. I'd like to see something like that. But it got declined, rip.
No, it'd be cool, and I thought with the Strider tutorial, it might certainly, I think GDQ will move more towards that direction over the next little while. So who knows? Maybe in a future one we'll see it.
Okay. As I talk with the sub for 4 months, welcome back to the fridge, babe. Appreciate the love.
Welcome to the fridge, Bob. So
Alright,
here's a question for both of you. So SGDQ, AGDQ, they're like the Goliaths, right? Basically unchallenged. Like there's the NASA marathon. I forget the name of the European one. What's the name of the European marathon? ESA, European Speedsters Assembly. Yes. Do you think, I feel like speedrunning's, although it's kind of the same, the way information's being presented or just content in general is sort of evolving. People are finding new ways of, broadcasting information. Do you think that there will be, or if there's room, or I guess a want for an event that's not so much like just runs back to back to back, but something like your speed lore, and then maybe Apollo Legend comes in and he's like, do you think that
you're kind of talking about Oceanside pretty much?
Yeah, you really are. That was
a
lot of the plan for Oceanside.
Right.
Was that we would have maybe 6 or 8 hours of runs a day, have these kind of specials take place as well, maybe just chat out and do like a Two Dads type of podcast, and also do some IRL streaming at night. I think there is definitely an appetite for that kind of event, and that's why I think that some people at least were excited for Oceanside, which, unfortunately never panned out.
Rip.
I think... go ahead.
Oh, you go for it.
All right, fine. God. I think the introduction of the whole YouTube speedrunning community, I guess, in the past 2 years would help that a lot, to have an event like that, because it shows that there's such a big audience that is interested in all these different sides, different side stories, I guess, of speedrunning.
Exactly, right? And it's like people, obviously us as the speedrunners, we get a little bit bored of GDQ because it's a bunch of runs we don't know anything about back to back. Oftentimes, I mean, you hate to say it, but the reality is most of the runners aren't very interesting, unfortunately. So if you could have an event where you knew all of the people on screen were going to be entertaining, I think that would be a big difference. I'm not saying Oceanside was going to blow out GDQ in the first run, right? But it would have been cool to do an event like that, see how it went. GDQ started with like 6 people in Mike Uyama's basement, right? So everything starts somewhere. And I think some kind of, cool premiere type of event could happen and could pan out for the future.
Precisely, dude. I don't see the harm in trying it out just to see how it goes. And I'm kind of going to be blunt here. I am pretty bored of GDQs. I've reached that point where, I go because of my friends and to hang out for the week, basically. I don't go, I don't think I entered the stream room once the last GDQ. So it's the same thing all the time. And yeah, I think we really need something like that. Like an Oceanside, for example, something to just change it up, man.
Yeah, and there's no end. People talk about it endlessly on podcasts like this, like, oh, what would you do to improve GDQ? But it's like there's some things that are just so damn obvious. Like, this Mario tournament you guys are running. You have the grand finals at GDQ. Like that, and even if there's prize money, $500, big deal. That's not all charity. You have something like that. People would come in droves to see that specific thing, and it'd be really cool. I think speed runners are bored with GDQ. They go to hang out and party and let loose. But because it is twice a year, the casuals will still roll in and at least leave it on as kind of background stream for a week, and it can succeed just by doing that, right? But clearly, now, okay, Oceanside didn't happen, but Big John's got some tournament coming up. Who knows how that'll go? Obviously, wish it well. And more of these things are going to start happening. That I think
I
other
really hope so.
eyes will be drawn elsewhere. Yeah.
Really hope so. Yeah.
Do you think it just takes the right kind of content to get it to push up to be bigger? Like, obviously, if we're like, for example, if we were all involved in the event, we could, gather enough support, get enough people watching. But like, HGDQ and SGDQ are so big, it feels like it's unstoppable or like unable to get anywhere near that. I don't even know. Like, what are your thoughts on getting to that level?
Yeah, one of the biggest. I mean, okay, let's say your goal is to make an event as big or bigger, or at least on the same scale as GDQ. And I'm not saying that is your goal if you're having a tournament, whatever. But let's say that is your goal. One of the biggest challenges you're going to face is how, in bed Twitch is with GDQ now. Like, really. And it's going to be very hard as a speedrun event to get that same exposure and support from Twitch. Almost impossible. That's going to be your biggest obstacle right there. Obviously, there's no other that can do such a thing right now. Although, there have been Fortnite tournaments on YouTube that have got 1 million viewers. So, within the next year or two, who knows? But the support is immense, and that's one of your biggest challenges for sure.
Yeah.
Right. There are actually people in the speedrun community who are admins on Twitch. So there's some help that could be available for sure. But yeah, you have a point there.
It's true, and I don't want to rumor monger too much, but it's like maybe there's some political stuff where that speedrunner admin is sort of not supposed to promote other speedrunning events at the same level, or who knows what's going on behind the closed doors because we're not there to see it.
Dude, politics, man. Awesome.
All right, well, switching gears, I guess. I've seen some pictures of you with various desserts, various meals. You seem like a man that likes to cook. Would you like to tell me more about your cooking and perhaps other hobbies that we might not know about?
Well, when I was a young boy growing up, occasionally my mother would make me some chocolate chip cookies or brownies. I'm sure like all of us.
Right.
And they're great. And eventually I just decided, why don't I just make them so I can eat them when I feel like it, right? And so my mother taught me how to do these things. And I actually haven't made brownies in a long time. I bought chocolate frosting recently. I was going to. I was out. I bought chocolate frosting, and I'll hopefully soon. I do have some easy bake cookies in the fridge here, actually. Maybe after this, I'll cook them up, and it'll be a good time. Baked goods are amazing. Why not? And I'm no pro baker, to be sure. Some people are getting pretty good now. There's all these communities popping up, all these girls on Pinterest sharing recipes and tips. I'm not on that level, but I enjoy it, and who doesn't love a good baked good?
Hell yeah.
My mom's a legend in that. That's her job, actually. She makes baked goods for a living. Definitely give you some tips on that.
There you go. You should get her to GDQ, and we can have like a big bake sale.
Hey, okay.
Ooh, yeah, something there, dude.
That's how we take the world by storm. We introduce baking into the events.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it panders because cooking channels are doing so good, right? So why can't we just cook?
Dude,
it's too easy, dude.
It's easy.
Free money.
Yeah. I mean, there hasn't really been. I mean, obviously the girls on Twitch love to do a cooking stream every now and then, but I don't know of a stream on Twitch that is focused around cooking as their content, like making a big insane meal. So maybe there's a little bit of a open pocket for the market's free there for someone to step in.
Yeah, dude. The right personality. That's all it takes.
I mean, like Epic Mealtime was one of the biggest YouTube channels for a while. A Twitch comparable certainly could happen.
Right.
There
Except for actual food and not, crazy stuff that Epic Mealtime did.
Yeah, well, exactly. You had Imagine if there was like a Hell's Kitchen marathon on. People would love it, re-streaming and chatting in that, Maybe it's time to return to streaming with a cooking channel. Just grind cooking every night.
There we go.
Good idea. I'm gonna put it up to my mom, dude. Yo, mom, how about this idea? All right.
Cross paths, speedrunning cooking.
Yeah, dude.
How fast can you cook? You might hit some barriers there with ovens and eating and stuff, but it's worth a shot.
Okay.
Well, you don't have to eat it. You could donate it to a homeless shelter. Like, there's a lot of things you could do. If you had too much food.
Yeah, dude. Save it up, man. So we have the Q&A section to go into, but just making sure you don't have any more. Do you have any more questions to ask, Sim, before we jump in there, or?
Well, other hobbies other than speedrunning, community. What does Goose like to do?
Well, I mean, I grew up playing a lot of hockey, so I always loved that.
Okay.
As I got older, that's an interesting thing, kind of similar in terms of competition, is that when you're a kid growing up, there's a lot of competitive leagues, so I really enjoyed it. And the camaraderie with your teammates and buddies. And then as you get older, just recreational leagues, beer leagues, we call them, because it's traditional after the game to all drink a beer in the locker room. And I don't even drink anymore, so certainly that's not for me. And just lazy, uncompetitive. The guys have no respect that you learn through higher level competition. There's always this respect between people. The guys have no respect, so they're just shooting pucks wildly and making dangerous hits and whatnot. So I stopped playing hockey as an adult, unfortunately, because it's just not competitive. It's not fun. I coached a few seasons with my dad, and we had a good time coaching some kids. But that's a hell of a lot of work as well. And maybe the time will come to pick that up again. So really watching them all the time. But I just kind of realized, why am I investing so much time watching and caring about what other guys are doing and being on the sidelines? Whereas, with speedrunning, with making videos, I can be in the fray. I can be the star as opposed to just watching someone else do it. So, I like to get out of the city. I like to come up here at the cabin and just try to see if I can. Let's see if we spin this around. If you can see the forested woods outside.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going for walks and stuff like that is cool, and just enjoy the great outdoors.
You ever get freaked out by something? I don't know. Does anyone ever come near to you ever? Are there neighbors or anything like that, or any people near to you?
Serial killers?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, you guys asked, so I think it's time to retell the story of the creepiest thing that's ever happened to me and it took place in this cabin. Okay, so the cabin's pretty small. You can pan out there's a wall, right? It's not a very big cabin. If I turn a little bit, here is a door leading outside. Okay, right to my left.
Okay.
So when I was from 2008 to 2012, I worked up here as a park ranger in a nearby provincial park, and it was a very fun job.
What exactly is that? Ranger, park ranger.
So there's national parks. This one was a provincial park. You go around and enforce the rules. And so when I was 18, 19, it was kind of a more junior role. And then the next 3 years, I was like a park warden, a park ranger, and I was basically a police officer within the park. And that was actually kind of my career path back then, to a point, until I realized I don't really want to become I don't want to get into law enforcement, right? That's what I was doing back then. And when you get trained in law enforcement, you learn how to talk to people, right? You learn how to interact and deal with strange people, strange situations. And in the park, there was no shortage of that. So it was 2009, early in the season, and I came home. We worked until 2 a.m. And so I left the park, drove home. There was actually a couple guys who worked near me, just down the dirt road here. So we carpooled sometimes. So I dropped one of them off after work, and I came back to this cottage. Now, funnily enough, that night, it was a Friday night, and my mother came up to the cottage for the weekend.
Mhm.
My mom actually made me brownies that night.
Ooh.
It kind of circles back to our baking story. And so it's 2 a.m. They're asleep. She makes me brownies as a snack when I get home from work. And I come home. I have a shower. Like I say, small cabin. I leave the shower. I'm wearing only a towel, and I come out into this kitchen to cut myself a slice of brownie to enjoy before bed.
Of course.
I'm
no.
right in this kitchen, and I hear on the door a little knock. Very very light knock on this door right beside me, and it was so light. In fact, you can see the stove there too, the oven top. If I was not standing on that oven top cutting my brownie, I would not have heard the knock. That's how light it was. Okay. I get out of... so I'm still in the park ranger mode. I'm still used to kind of just if there's a problem, I have to go deal with it, see what's up. I'm still in that mode. So I just instinctively open the door. I thought it might have been my buddy who I dropped off. Maybe he left something in my car. I open the door, again, wearing only a towel, waist down, and I was holding a butter knife to cut the brownies. And there's this old man, 60 or 70 years old, who I've never seen before at the door. And I'm still kind of, like I say, I'm in work mode. I'm like, hello. He doesn't say anything at first. So I say, hello. He's like, hello. And I'm like, can I help you? And he's like, I need to get home. And I'm like, where's home? And you guys won't know where this is, but he just said Hamilton. Now, Hamilton is a city about 2 hours south and 1 hour west of here. So 3 hours away. Can't get to Hamilton. It's 2:30. And the guy doesn't seem drunk. He doesn't seem impaired. He doesn't seem like any of these things. So, and again, I'm still in that kind of zoned out mode, the work mode. I start giving him directions take the road back this way to the county line and take that, get to this local highway, take that down to Highway 4, go on from there. And he's like, all right, thanks. I go back, I turn around, and while I was giving him the instructions, he calmly pulled up a patio chair and just sat down and listened to me giving him the instructions. And when it was all done, when he's like, okay, thanks, I'm like, all right. I turn around and go back inside the cottage. My mom has been alerted now, woken up by what's going on. And I realized, okay, I turn around. I look outside again. The man's gone. I noticed he never had a car in the area. He pretty much just vanished, this guy. And we're like, what the hell is that? What in the world just happened? And my mom got freaked out. We called the police and just filed a report and whatnot. And nothing. The mystery, man. Someone actually, a viewer of mine, changed their Twitch name to Unknown Man from Cottage. I've told the story a few times before, so that's the creepiest thing that's ever happened to me up here for sure.
I probably would not have been able to sleep there anymore for a while until I figured out what happened. I'd have been freaked out, man.
And definitely, and it's there's so many weird things. What if my mom and sister weren't up that night, and that happened to me when I was alone? That would have been insane. I do come alone. I'm alone tonight. It can get creepy, but you kind of learn how to manage it. It's a very kind of primal thing. You kind of sleep knowing you might have to wake up and fight for your life, although it's very safe and nothing happens. But
did you show you those brownies were just special brownies, and you were kind of freaking out that night?
A little bit.
You kind of saw things for a moment.
I hadn't taken a bite of one yet, so they certainly weren't pot brownies,
Okay.
Yeah, it was just a wild, and just who knows, man? Who knows what happened?
X-Files.
Man, that's something, dude.
Well, that was good. I enjoyed that story
yeah.
quite a bit. Thank you for sharing that with us. I had not heard it before. Okay, well, transitioning on to the Q&A portion, typically what we'll do is we'll read the questions, but we also try to shoot for 2 hours for the duration of the podcast. So I think what we're going to do this time, or what I think we should do, is you can just rapid fire when you see a question, restate the question, and then hit us with the answer.
Definitely, and chime in if you guys have anything to say about it or whatever.
Sure.
And
yeah.
We'll see what thoughtful things people come up with in chat. I'm sure there'll be some interesting inquisitions.
Yeah, Cheese and I, of course, available for questions too. Any questions for any of us? Let us know, boys.
Do I play any modern shooters? I mean, I learned Fortnite because everyone's playing it. That's pretty much it. So, my opinion on WQ. Okay.
Oh my god, this is a big one.
I think watching a WQ video is one of the best IQ tests you can give somebody and seeing how they react to it. Because people who aren't very intelligent will immediately be repulsed and afraid of the guy. And you see this a lot. You see a lot of speedrunners who genuinely hate the guy. And it's because they don't have the cognitive ability to understand what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And so the smarter people tend to laugh and find it funny, and also with some tidbits of truth in there. So if you want to test someone's intelligence, show them a WQ video and see how they react.
Noted.
I've seen a few of his videos, and I spend a lot of time laughing. Yeah, just having fun with them. But I do deep down inside understand what he says, and some things I actually agree. But most of it is just junk, though. I feel like the whole what I don't even know what he calls it, being an alpha gamer or something like that. It's just okay, what's this guy trying to say, really?
It's saying he's not what he's doing there is parodying the modern YouTube culture, right? And that's exactly what it is. Oh, you're gonna be an alpha gamer. Subscribe.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's what that is. Now, one of his most insane videos is this theory that Siglemic is crystal, right? That's one of his craziest ones. Now, the most insane thing about that video is that I've looked into it a little bit. And the more I look into the theory, the more it starts to add up. Crystal was this Link to the Past player, only streamed once or twice a year, would always get the world record, played on emulator, no pictures of her ever existed, no voice recordings, all these strange things. The more I used
to see her in chats all the time, lurking.
So what she would do is, every single speedrunner on Speedruns Live, she would have a bot in your chat logging everything anyone said in that chat, so she could use it later if she had to for blackmail or whatever purpose. And that was known. I've had people come to me and tell me stuff about Crystal, wishing to remain anonymous because they fear she will bring something up from one of those chat logs that may be able to contact employers, dox them, whatever. So people are genuinely afraid of this. Now, I'll get one more tidbit about the Siglemic Crystal connection that's very strange is this. A few months ago, WQ did a video about Crystal cheating, being exposed as, whatever, on her emulator and her IIDX, 2DX, whatever, DJ game. Siglemic messaged me on Discord for the first time in months, saying that he had information about Crystal and he would prepare it for me to look at and help me with the video. And I was like, thanks, dude. That's very useful. And a couple others did at the time as well. Those messages that he sent me, months later, I checked again to look at them, and they were all deleted. So why would Siglemic message me about Crystal and say he's going to help me find information and then delete? Very strange behavior. And combined with other things that I can't quite reveal right now, the connection between the two of them is very, very close and very strange.
No, I'm not going to lie. There's been many strange things that Siglemic has done. In 2015, we kind of knew him for 2 months. We would talk to him on a daily basis, playing RuneScape and stuff together. And there were many things that he did or said I found really weird. I don't know if it's just who he is or if he indeed has some sort of thing going on there with him, a connection with him and Crystal. I don't know, but damn, that's something to look into.
I mean, it may be like a split personality, right? Sometimes he's Siglemic, sometimes
Yeah.
he's Crystal. It's intense stuff to think about. But
Yeah.
no, seriously, like
No, but it's
you
a
know,
possibility. You never know.
No, I find it very interesting.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining. I hope that you can. I hope we can get to the bottom of this.
I know, and if I were to ever undertake it as like a video project, I would have to do like a 2-hour documentary and premiere it at a film festival because that's the kind of gravitas it would take. Anyways, let's check out a few more questions.
Right.
What's my opinion about Canada legalizing cannabis on a federal level? We'll see how it plays out. I think Trudeau literally was elected solely on that platform. If he didn't say he was going to legalize weed, he wouldn't have been elected. So he ended up winning there. Let's see what else we got. Everyone was distracted by the Crystal story.
All according to plan.
Captain
Are you aware
Krusty
that some melee?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, what does he say? Go ahead.
Captain Krusty asks, Goose, why don't you create Oceanside or something like Oceanside?
Okay. The video I came up here to record tonight was a fireside story talking about Oceanside. I was there pretty much from the beginning, talking about how, and really 4 things that led to its failure. So I will talk a little bit more about that in that video. Hopefully, I might record it and it might suck and it might never come out, right? But I have that in mind. The main reason is it's so people don't get how much effort it is to undertake creating an event like that. It's so much work. So
yeah.
What's my most outrageous Pokemon Go experience? I was literally up here in this small town. There's a park in town 15 or 20 minutes away that has a number of Pokestops. I lured them all up. I would sit in the park around this time of night, as the sun was setting, with the lures on for 30 or 60 minutes. I played all summer in Toronto in a big city, never caught a Dragonite, and at the end of summer, off in the small town park, I caught my first Dragonite, and that was
part 2.
that was pretty awesome. So that was really Let's Pikachu. Yeah. I don't know what this Undead Phil is about. Some melee speedrunners using a cheat code. I don't know what that. I heard some stuff. Maybe you guys know about this fighting games community controller controversy. People using new controllers or something.
Yeah.
What's the deal on that?
So from what I've gathered, I don't know about any other controllers, but I know about the Smash box. At least this is in terms of Smash. Hacks Money. Yeah. Hacks Money might be the first guy to be using it. But I've seen other people. I just saw it on a Snapchat story, another guy using like the same thing. And apparently it's ergonomically better, but it also allows you to do things that are not viable at all with a GameCube controller. And so, but it's like you have to completely relearn the game. It seems like they're all allowed. But there's other weird stuff with controllers in Smash. Like they allow you can engrave angles into the GameCube controller stick for like shield dropping, if you know what that is, that kind of thing. But
see, I would love to do that in GoldenEye. And a couple people have made, we play with 2.x control style a lot of the time, which is 2 controllers.
Yeah.
Some made 1 mega controller, 2 controllers molded together. And so I think that's going to be a really big topic in console gaming over the next 5-10 years is modified controllers. And it'll be interesting to see the direction communities decide to go with it. It could make or break communities for sure.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I don't know how I feel about like modifying, a controller, configuring it to change the nature of it for your benefit. I don't know how I feel about that at all. I think like actually changing controllers, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, totally go for it. Like having the Smash box, introducing that into it, I think that's totally cool. But like that, what Simply mentioned that you could like engrave certain angles and stuff to a controller, I don't know. I don't know about that one.
But how's that different than just because it's not mass produced? It's not allowed. What if you mass produced?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
Modification.
there's a lot that goes into it, but
Like
that's a hard
if
one,
we could
dude.
make
That's
a
a really
GoldenEye
tough one.
controller,
Mhm.
it is very tough. If we could make a GoldenEye controller where the second stick only went full strafe left or full strafe right, and it only had 2 options, it would be so useful.
Right.
And then it's like you could even get to a point where you reprogram the second control stick into like the first controller's C buttons. And now you're playing with the 2.2 control style, the advantage control style, but it plays exactly like the normal control style. And I mean, it's
If it
really
becomes
a
like
deep hole to dive into.
Yeah, if it becomes like a universal thing, then that'll be more understandable. Yeah.
On Virtual Console, that's a really good one. That's one I got to make a video about someday. I think Virtual Console is as bad as emulator, which means it should be completely disregarded from speedrunning competition in every manner possible.
Really?
I think Ocarina of Time messed up big time by allowing VC in because it allowed emulator, allowed IQ, and the dilution of the competition, I think led to the game's demise. Like, Ocarina of Time was the biggest speed game, bigger than Mario 64 back in 2012-13, and it no longer is. And I think a lot of that is mismanagement from the version differences and all that kind of stuff. If I were the great dictator of speedrunning, I would not allow Virtual Console.
Wow. I have to totally agree on you. Well, for the fact that I think that VC kind of messed up the popularity, etc. But I won't say that it shouldn't be allowed or anything. But I just think that there should be more ruling to it, I guess. I don't know, because I'm not gonna lie, when VC became the thing for 100% now in OOT, for example, it totally, like, I kind of don't have any more interest at all in OOT because of that, and it's kind of sad. I don't know how to think about it, and then Mario 64 has different views than VC, and it's very different to OOT. So in my mind, I don't really know how to think about it. It's kind of complicated, but I am gonna say that, yeah, that's just a good example. Like, I got really turned off OOT after the whole VC thing.
Okay, so what exactly happened there? What was the ruling they made in particular?
They didn't make a ruling. It's just that they found a route on VC that happened to be a lot faster.
Okay,
So
for 100%.
Right, by a few minutes, by like 5 minutes. So now VC is the thing for 100%, and it always used to be N64, but now it's been taking a huge change. The whole route is different. They play on VC now, so now it's like, wow, okay. I kind of
that is unfortunate, because if you were to get the Ocarina of Time 100% world record, I think it would cement you forever of all time. So it'd be a really insane thing to see happen. You could maybe make that argument anyways already, but it's like seeing you get the 100% record would be unbelievable. It would be the best story. And so it's unfortunate that you're turned off from the game now. How do you put it? Going back to Jordan Peterson, he speaks a lot about chaos and order, right? And when things are chaotic, people can do whatever they want. People, it's not a good way to live your life. It's not a good way to structure society. And so I see it chaotic, where VC or IQ are all allowed, and you need to have some order to make things manageable.
I agree, man. How do you feel, Sam?
I have to say I agree, because I mean, Mario 64 follows the same thing, like that same belief. They basically don't. I mean, you can play on VC, you can play an emulator, and it'll be on a separate leaderboard, but people don't care. People only care about the N64 because it's like original. It's like most genuine, most authentic version of the game. It's what most people probably
the original
have.
game, yeah.
Exactly. And the sort of extreme example that I claim is like, you wouldn't run on a treadmill and claim you've beat Usain Bolt's record, right? Like, that's ridiculous. But that's what an emulator is. So why does anyone take it seriously? I think Mario does it perfectly, where you have a leaderboard, you entertain people, especially, it is good for new players. So you entertain them, you get them into the game, but people just don't take it as seriously. I think that's the perfect way to treat it for sure.
Yeah.
Oof, it's a touchy subject, but Okay. Questions. Hit us, baby.
Yeah, there's a couple that got skipped over just from the.
Yeah, I'm scrolling back right now. Actually, you talked about hockey earlier. Is hockey like the American football of Canada in terms of popularity?
The thing with hockey, American football is literally only played in America.
Right.
Hockey is, it's not the most popular sport in Russia or Sweden, but it is very popular. Germany, Switzerland, Austria. So there are a lot of countries that play it. I believe hockey is the most popular in Finland. So hockey has more of a global reach than does American football. But yeah, it's Canadians, and there aren't many countries who care that much about it.
All right.
All right. One question I found was any plans to speedrun games other than GoldenEye in the future? I think this will be the last question.
There are some games I would like. I would love to learn a major Ocarina of Time category and grind it out in theory. But in practice, I just don't know if I have the patience for it anymore. There's always been this Indiana Jones game on N64. Peaches gave it to me at AGDQ 2014. I played it from Blockbuster as a child. I would love to just complete. No one's ever completed a full game run of it. I would love to. So there are things in theory I would like to speedrun. Right now, I'm focused on making vids and telling stories that way, but who knows where the future will take us.
Awesome,
dude.
Well, it's been an absolute honor having you on, Goose. A lot of hot takes. Any last words?
I don't think there's any more appropriate last words than just saying thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure. I wish you guys the best with the Two Dads podcast. Keep up what you're doing, and just stay true.
Stay true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude.
If you want, could you send me? I should have had it on hand, but your YouTube link, we could post it in the chat.
If you just type in youtube.com/RWhiteGoose, and that'll take you there.
Nice.
All right. There you go, boys. Make sure to, check it out. He's got some high quality content. And yeah. This has been the Two Dads podcast live with Simply and Cheezo 5.
Thank you so much, Goose. Appreciate it once again. And stay tuned for the next. Just making sure everyone knows that every 2 weeks we have an episode. We're trying every 2 weeks now instead of every week.
I'm liking it better. I think
it's more manageable. It felt very rushed, I guess, when it was every week. It was kind of hard to to get guests on every week. It was. This is more. We could plan it out and get better episodes, I think, this way. But either way, thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to continue streaming after this. I'm just going to be gone for a few minutes. And yeah, thanks again, Goose. I hope to see you around on the scene again, maybe, and your videos.
Yeah, we're excited. Looking forward to that live speed lore.
Yeah, dude. All right.
Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.
See y'all later.
Good stuff.
Yeah, dude. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.